Europe is continuing its crackdown on microtransactions, and this is not what you are probably thinking. This is not a situation of the EU says microtransactions bad, loot boxes bad, and then EA comes out and says, well, it's actually a surprise mechanic, so we're completely safe from this. No. Europe currently kind of wants to completely destroy and move any form of microtransactions from gaming. And I'm not gonna lie, kind of based. Sounds kind of based currently.
Well, the EU are up to regulatory shenanigans again. The question is, will this be good for us or will it be bad for us? And with that in mind, here's a quote. Let's not kill one of Europe's few tech success stories. That was a rather damning statement given by the CEO of Supercell, and its latest shot in a war that has been silently raging since April, because that's when the EU unveiled new guidelines for microtransactions in gaming. And now, after a summer of adjustment, the industry is speaking out. Now, obviously, in one way, that's all kind of hilarious, and we do sort of think, yeah, you've rammed our games full of this bullshit, a lot of it has felt fairly manipulative, it's probably good that someone is getting involved.
If you look at this and you're feeling, you know what, this is not that manipulative, what the hell is wrong with you? What the hell is wrong with you? Maybe we need more red tape, okay? Listen, there is no in-between. If you want no red tape, well, I guess you have to be American and eat things that are literally more close to concrete than actual food, because it's purely made out of random chemicals at this point. Or you can have a lot of red tape, and you can be the EU, where you can actually not get your house allowed for renovation. There are only two options. Either eat synth paste, or you can't do anything because you owe nothing. There is no in between.
Big picture, that is what I think. That being said, a lot of people in the industry are saying that this will ruin everything that they've built. I mean, just look at what the Supercell dude said. Basically, according to a lot of them, they say these regulations would worsen the player experience and also wouldn't improve protection.
No microtransactions worsens the player experience. I don't know about that one.
And that certainly is a bit that I'm at least interested in. They also say that this would cause widespread collateral damage to one of EU's biggest tech success stories. So here's the thing. He's not entirely wrong. He's not entirely right. There's definitely stuff for us to talk about, and this one's going to be a goddamn trip. And I get this all can be a lot. We've got tariff and trade.
You gotta love it when, you can tell when the ad's happening.
Below. Here's a fun fact to get us going. This was kind of kicked off by a Swedish horse girl game. Yeah, so here we are. Let's get into the story.
I just want to remind you, this absolute diversity fiesta, well, by the way, of course this is Swedish. It can only be Swedish. I mean, look at this. But anyway, this game made literal billions because women love horses for more reason than one, if you know what I'm saying. But still, women love horses.
The autumn legislative sessions are starting, and we're right at the end of the consultation period for the Digital Fairness Act. So, would you like some fairness in digital format? Maybe this act is for you. Now, what it is an overarching EU legislative agenda that covers loads of tech fields and where they intersect with consumer protections. Now, for our purposes, it includes features like deceptive interface design where, well, there's all sorts of shit.
We have talked about this good based. You're not gonna need to go through the shop 15 times to get to the menu that you want.
Shit that they do, manipulative elements, addictive elements, and unfair personalization practices. You might think, oh, I love things to be personalized.
Wait, what the hell even is this? But I have no idea, but man, does that say 800% value? You got me on 100% value, 800? I would be losing money to not buy this. What the hell?
Personalization.
And look at that, I have only 1 hour, 20 minutes to buy this? I better rush.
Practices. You might think, oh, I love things to be personalized. Less so whenever a game is trying to exploit you really wanting that next upgrade and is giving you a targeted deal that probably has 900% value or some made up bullshit like that. Now, it's especially concerned where it hits consumer vulnerabilities and where people can be exploited. Now, you may remember our coverage from back in April, where we got to talk about the Swedish horse girl game. So that's when the EU took on microtransactions, and what happened is that the Consumer Protection Cooperation Network, rolls off the tongue, laid out some new key principles. And this all came as a part of a case made against the Swedish mobile game Star Stables. Now, what we're talking about today, the Digital Fairness Act and its consultation period, it is building on those principles from the whole horse game saga. Now, what that means is new systems requiring real monetary value on listings, not just, made up gem bullshit. Removing multiple currency options, ensuring refunds are available. Imagine that, a refund on a gem. Crazy stuff. And also ending a lot of the FOMO practices. And especially because these things were often targeted toward kids, but also they would apply to everyone because games would need to implement them across the board. Now, at the time, the industry was obviously not really thrilled. They love making money from all of the things that I just listed that feel sketchy. And they framed these as new legal theories, as a disruption that could see games pulled from the EU if those games couldn't comply. Think about the poor.
Oh, they're not gonna get pulled from the... Well, some are, actually, probably. No, wait, no, is that even true? Because if you just have to shut down your microtransaction store, they're not gonna get pulled in that case because they're still selling.
Monetization designers, guys. But where things left off is that the CPC was supposed to work with them, work with the industry to help implement everything. But 6 months later, the industry mood has not improved, and they are quite worried. That open letter from the Supercell CEO, and by the way, Supercell are the Clash of Clans people, so, some top-tier creative gaming content. That's...
Oh, I did not know this. I was actually wondering what Supercell is. I was hesitant to ask because I thought that you're gonna look down on me because I'm supposed to know, but no, I had no fucking idea who Supercell is. I have not played even Clash of Clans, by the way. I think it's just mobile slop, and that's kind of it. Now, granted, I do think a lot of mobile slop is, well, if you want to spend 5 minutes doing it, go ahead, it's fine. But, mobile slop is still mobile slop.
It's just one of several press efforts that we've seen in recent weeks, but it's the most striking one.
Also, stuff like this means absolutely nothing. For us gamers, this is going to be better in Europe. And this is probably going to affect America tremendously because you need to understand, by removing all the predatory microtransactions, the reality is you are hard axing most of the AAA slop that we deal with. No more Diablo 4 $100 horses. World of Warcraft, a lot of those things just go out the window. Not to mention even more egregious slop like Fallout 76 and whatnot. And that will open up the door to, well, now Europe's market is free from all the slop, and now you actually are forced to make effectively Expedition 33, otherwise you're not going to make money. That's how this works. That is one of the ways this actually becomes reality. And yes, there's gonna be a lot of companies that suffer because of this, because they're based on predatory microtransactions and whatnot. Pretty much every AAA company is gonna absolutely get shafted by this. But at the end of the day, currently, this sounds very pro-consumer. This sounds like a very, very, very short period of, oh, the game that I'm playing got first because the developers had to not allow me to waste my money on it or something like that. But in the long term, this would be great. And the thing is, if you're making a game and it sells really good because of its own merit, it's going to sell also good outside of Europe because of its own merit, obviously. So there is extreme gain to get from this. Like, unironically, this is kind of currently sounds to me, at least, like a super good thing for gamers. Now, I could be wrong. I haven't read this. I haven't done too much. But from everything that I can piece together from what I know that's happening with this stuff and around it, All in all, it sounds positive for me in the long term. And when I say long term, I don't mean 5 years. I literally mean the void that this is gonna leave if it gets accepted and pushed through is gonna take like half a year to fill at best. And I mean, none of us are buying modern day AAA games anyway. We're just buying indie shit that probably doesn't have 50 egregious microtransactions in it anyway. So technically, we're not affected. Oh no, Clash of Clans is getting cancelled. Diablo Immortal, I can't play my stupid slop. Well, arguably you didn't deserve human rights to begin with, but that's a different story.
From a senior figure. Basically, he says that he doesn't want the EU's 27 billion euro industry harmed by the DFA or the guidelines that came in March of this year. And he argues that they will, quote, break how many games fundamentally work, that they will harm the player experience, and especially will do this for free-to-play games.
The fucking irony of harm the player experience just gets me.
He uses a familiar metaphor for how in-game currency works, but it's one that was okay per the legal framework before the new guidelines in April. And basically he talked about theme park tokens. The idea that a family can buy tokens in bulk, or they can buy tokens individually, or they can even win tokens in a theme park. And to him, this is all framed as, quote, convenient and fun, avoiding repeated cash transactions. You know, the idea you can buy loads of tokens at once.
Oh my... It hit me exactly as he started that sentence. This guy is saying, but isn't it fun to take $100, turn it into 1,000 Game X tokens, and then just buy slop because it's fun, because it's not real money? Well, if it's not real money, then you should just give that shit for free, in my opinion, but hey.
Contrasts this with the potential worst case under the new guidelines, where individual parental approval for each token used, including signed contract agreements, regardless of purchase value and all of that, would basically harm the experience. Basically, he's saying that regardless of purchase value, rides must display a real cost in euros based on a fixed standard, not, you know, a token cost. Now, when children win prizes, they believe that those prizes are worth real money, despite obviously not being able to cash out. In his analogy, the visitors get frustrated and leave.
LOL, you can play literally any game in the world now and still find a way to sell your account at this point. It's unavoidable. Everything can be quantified in real money because everything can be transformed into real money.
Why? Well, because the experience isn't simpler or safer than what exists now. So, why change the token system? Well, his argument, he believes the existing frameworks can just be strengthened. You know, improve what we've got. Don't do a big new scary thing. Now, we will come back to how Supercell responds to those existing laws. That is insane. In this video. But going on, he suggests these new policies could result in companies choosing other monetization models. Things like more in...
I mean, they will do that, yes.
Game advertising. And this
advertising in games is gonna make people not buy your game in the first place, so you're killing your game. This is not gonna be a solution. The game that is gonna win is gonna be the game that doesn't have ads.
Feeling has actually got a lot of backing. Multiple large European game developers sent a letter to the EU. And I have to say, a massive thank you to one of our members, Neo Nebulosa, for helping us navigate the fun industrial nuances of the continent. Because for real, this shit's complicated. Now, what happened is that Euractiv saw the letter, and then industry-wide bodies like the European Game Developer Federation also got involved. And they're all very worried, and this is based on legal interpretations of current proposals and what they would mean for them, and of course also what they would mean for you. Let's go to the heart of the issue. This fundamentally comes down to a fairly simple question, but it's one with significant legal ramifications, and it's this. Is in-game currency the same as real currency? Because if it's treated as such, as, quote, digital representations of value, then the companies trading in them face significantly more scrutiny. And if you're thinking about, say, I don't know, banking, crypto, and other things, yeah, you're kind of thinking along the right lines. Because effectively, they would then be a little bit more like Bitcoin under the law. And to be clear, that is the position of the CPC. and therefore it's inherent to the current consultation for the Digital Fairness Act, which is the big thing that would really change a lot. Now, the fundamental argument is that people are putting real money into these systems, and they are getting in return for their real money a digital representation of that money in the form of products, like, say, your gems or your Call of Duty points, whatever it may be. So, because of that, they should therefore have transparency and safety when they are spending. Now, those are good, noble goals, but implementation could be a little tricky, and it would mean some humongous changes. Now, we can't just dismiss those things because we like the principles behind the changes, and for the avoidance of doubt, we here are very much behind those principles. And what the industry is putting forward really are based on worst case scenarios. But that doesn't mean that they won't happen, and we should talk about it because it would impact the industry. Now, they all.
Again, I don't think this impacts the industry at all. The moment everyone starts putting ads in their shit, the first person to be like, we have no ads on our game, probably wins. And people are going to talk about this and say, this is how it should be. I'm going to buy your shit because of it. And it's not going to happen. Again, slop falls, and we know this to be true in gaming. All the typical slop just dies out.
Because it would impact the industry. Now, they already don't trust the EU elements implementing all of this, as flagged by George Osborne, well, that one, in his excellent video games industry memo newsletter back in April. His sources suggested to him something rather troubling, that before the new guidelines, the CPC did not engage with industry trade bodies, let alone get impact assessments. I know, impact assessments, it's real sexy stuff, but then again, we are dealing with, billions of euro and how the industry literally works. Now, that's part of why these bodies are emphasizing certain facts. Things like, only 18% of kids are allowed to make purchases, that 95% get parental supervision, and that monthly spending.
Oh, bullshit. Everyone knows that a lot of the people who get parental supervision don't actually get parental supervision. It's not like your parent knows what you're actually doing. It's not like your parent understands what you're actually buying in a lot of cases. Like, my cousin has a kid. I have heard all of this shit, okay?
Has actually gone down year on year, which is at least a silver lining if you're not a fan of microtransactions. But basically, the industry is putting forward that they see all of this stuff as using a sledgehammer to crack a nut, and basically that's why they've been so frustrated. Now, the CPC suggested that they would work with the.
Man, this is some insane phrasing we have here. Microtransactions aren't actually that bad. Now please, click on your 800% value. Really? I mean, they're trying... You know it's bad when these companies are trying so desperately to make out microtransactions not be predatory. Wow.
Industry after they did their big publication. And without direct leaks, we don't literally know what those discussions looked like over the summer, but based on current reactions, they did not go well. But more than that, apparently, the CPC also didn't work with other EU bodies. Yes, this is really getting all quite complex. People may wonder why, I don't know, nothing ever gets done. Anyway, what it effectively means, the point the industry is trying to get across, right, is that this one group tried to set a new central philosophy in microtransactions, but they kind of did that without getting everyone else involved in the situation involved in what that would look like, which can get messy. And for an example of said mess, we've got to say a big thanks to this pack of Lithuanian RuneScape gold farmers. To put a very messy situation in very simple terms, in Lithuania...
Wait, what the fuck? In Lithuania, your rates... Wait, how can... Why are they using plural? There's no fucking way. They are not... This is... Wait. This is not your Venezuelan bot farmer who's actually... This has to be a massive fucking bot farm. They spoke with massive bot farm owners because there's no way in Lithuania you actually have this thing like a bot farm. And what did they call it? Wait, what again? EU takes on gold farm. Yeah. This is a giant bot farm. No one is just a gold farmer in Lithuania, okay? There is no way. The currency depreciation is not like that, okay? It's not even close. These guys literally talk to a massive pot farm operator, probably. Oh my god. Nice.
Farmers. To put a very messy situation in very simple terms, in Lithuania, currency transfers are tax exempt. So because of this, the gold farmers thought that they would not have to pay value-added tax. But the Revenue Office disagreed. The Revenue Office believed that the gold farmers weren't trading a currency whenever they were doing their trades. So yeah, they were like trading a product, and that would mean that they would need to get their value-added tax. Now, they needed clarity on the law here, so what they did is they went to the EU, and they went to a specific bit called the EU Advocate General, and the result of that was a ruling by the EU Advocate General, and that is that in-game currency should be considered as a digital second-hand product, not as a currency in itself. Now, that's actually quite fun for today's story, because that's actually not how the guidelines from the CPC frame them. Same goes for the Digital Fairness Act proposals as well. And that just makes everything here so much messier, because different bits of the EU, different arms of it, are taking different opinions. Obviously, that makes it very hard to get anything goddamn done, and that's part of why the company seems so...
Okay. Admittedly, all of this can be mended because, in this case, they're gonna fight over who actually is right with their way of approaching the situation. But there's gonna be one singular thing that gets picked. They're just gonna fight amongst each other whose definition is gonna be better. And this is gonna not change anything, because even if the whatever the fuck wins, they're just gonna remake it so the same thing that gets done anyway. That's just how it's gonna be. This affects nothing, honestly. It just makes it longer.
Pissed off here. To them, the CPC wants compliance with their guidelines, even as another EU judiciary is suggesting another interpretation. So they're, in a way, saying, oh no, look at us, we're caught in the middle, this is a nightmare, what do we do? And honestly, in that case, yeah, they do have a point. It's like different arms of the same body are saying different things about basically the same issue. That's obviously chaos. Chaos that could get worse.
That's not actually how this works, okay? Every part of... This is, by the way, to say... This is specifically talking about the EU, but this is true also in America and literally every other country. The EU is just effectively a bigger type of singular government. It kind of actually is supposed to work like the US, if you did not know. It's supposed to mimic the actions of the US with the states and the cohesiveness of the states and how things are getting done. But in general, this works the same absolutely everywhere.
With the Digital Fairness Act being implemented next year. And
that didn't finish the sentence. I'm retarded. It is what it is. It works everywhere the same in the sense that if a part of the government does one thing, that can turn out actually go against another part of the government that judges something to be different. This is not just an EU issue, if you're wondering, by the way. This can happen in America. This can happen in literally any country you pick. Even fucking Zimbabwe and Nicaragua are not exempt from this. Well, there they probably literally could not care less, but you get the point. In any case, that's pretty much it. This sounds kind of based, I'm not gonna lie. What's your opinion on this? Like the video right now, and thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. That was Billiard News, 10 out of 10. Bye!